Welcome. You're listening to the I'm Wired to Inspire podcast, creatively engineered by Nicole, the inspiration specialist. I'm Wired to Inspire is a powerfully packed 5-minute podcast filled with inspiration and encouragement to get you through your day. It's designed to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Now stay tuned for your host, Nicole, the inspiration specialist, on today's episode of I'm Wired to Inspire.
It's the I'm Wired to Inspire Mentor from Afar with Nicole, the inspiration specialist.
How much influence do you think you had on others with wealth, with means to give, to be as generous as you?
Well, a lot of people come back to me on that, and basically I said, if you're extremely rich, and you've got children, my theory was you give them enough so they can do anything, but not enough so they can do nothing. And I've had more people come back to me. So apparently I was smarter in 1980, whatever it was, than I am now, but that seemed to have some influence.
Are you comfortable today with what you're giving? I mean, does it feel...
It's exactly what I wanted to do.
Does it feel like the right thing to be doing right now?
It's the right thing because it's going to people who believe, as the gays, for example, that every life is of equal value. I mean, the truth is I've got a lot of wealth, little pieces of paper, Berkshire Hathaway, and they're claim checks on all kinds of goods and services in the world. They can buy anything. I can buy 400-foot yachts and have 20 homes and all that. I wouldn't be happier. But they can buy anything. And once they move into the hands of people who are working like hell on getting something accomplished in areas I want them to, I love the idea of getting amused, and that's what they're doing.
You said it wouldn't make you happy to have 100, 200 homes and yachts and so forth. What does make Warren Buffett happy?
I just have a lot of fun doing my job. I mean, I can do anything I want, basically, as long as it doesn't involve athletic ability or anything like that. But if it's something I can buy, I can buy anything, basically. I've been on 400-foot yachts, and I've lived the life a little bit with people that have 10 homes and everything. And I live in the same house I bought in 1958. And if I could spend $100 million on a house and make me a lot happier, I'd do it. But for me, that's the happiest house in the world. And it's because it's got memories and people come back and all that sort of thing. So I am doing what I love to do with people I love. And it doesn't get any better than that, Judy. But I should be. I mean, why in the hell would I be working at 86 at something that I don't like or with people I don't like?
And I see you're drinking a cherry Coke. How do you stay healthy?
Well, I think I stay healthy partly by being happy, actually. I think that it really helps if your stomach isn't grinding all the time and you're doing things you don't want to do, or you're working with people that, So I've gone very light on the diet advice. I eat like a normal 6-year-old, but if you look at the mortality statistics, I mean, 6-year-olds don't die very often. I mean, that diet's doing something for them.
How much sleep do you get?
I get quite a bit of sleep. I like to sleep, so I'll usually sleep 8 hours a night. But, no, I have no desire to get to work at 4 a.m.
Well, so many people look at you and they think, "Oh my goodness, this man, he's accomplished so much. He's been so successful. He's 86 years old and he's still going strong."
I love it.
So what's the secret?
The secret is to find what you love to do. I mean, I tell the students, look for the job that you would take if you didn't need a job. I mean, it's that simple. And I was lucky enough to find it very early in life. And then the second thing is to have people around you that make you feel good every day and make you a better person than you otherwise would be. I have more fun doing this than anything else I can think of in the world. And I've seen a lot of other things you could do in the world.
Warren Buffett, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy.
So, guys, you just heard the incomparable Warren Buffett. Now, you all know Warren Buffett is one of the richest people in the world and arguably the biggest giver in the world. Okay. I have always enjoyed reading up on him. I mean, ever since I was little, ever since I can remember when I first heard of who he was. And when I say little, I mean, not little, but, like teen years or whatever, I was really intrigued by him. And I remember hearing about Berkshire Hathaway and, all of the different things he was doing. And I remember when he invested in Apple and all of this stuff. And, I could just remember thinking, like somebody at that time just want money. You know what I'm saying? Just really want money. And of course, over time, as I matured and I grew up and I realized I wanted everything to be God-centered first, and whatever God wanted for me to have, then I would do that. But I would definitely pray and I would definitely do the work. And I had always been a giver by nature. And I mentioned this, I believe, on one of my other podcasts, but I can remember I was 8 years old and I came across the word philanthropist. Okay. And that's a hard word to pronounce for an eight-year-old. But I can remember telling my dad, I was like, oh my God, Dad, I want to be a philanthropist. And I kind of said it a little slow. He was like, what is that? I said, well, I make a lot of money, but I would give it away. He was like, oh, girl, that's crazy. Why you want to do that? And I was like, I don't know. I just think it'd be cool. I said, everybody seems to always be fussing about money, and I just like to make it a thing where it's not really a bother for them anymore. And I was 8 when that happened, and I didn't know who Warren Buffett was at the time. I found out who he was some years later, but just listening to what he's talking about now, I can understand why he has acquired such great wealth and why he continues to acquire such great wealth. He had so many gems in the short amount of time that he spoke that it really impressed me because, one of the things he says, if you listen to any Warren Buffett interview, 9 out of 10 of them, he's going to say you have to do something that you love. And I find that is typically the hardest thing for people to come across. And what happened to be my purpose, and even, the name of this podcast, I'm Wired to Inspire you to live your authentic purpose, that is what he's talking about. And, who knew that my passion and purpose and my calling would be to, get people wired up so that they can walk into what God has for them to do as well. And this is what this man lives by. He talks about how you have to do something that you enjoy. He's like, man, that's why I'm in my 80s and I can still do the work that I do because I love it. He said, and I know that I can do anything that I want, but this is what I love doing. I love my company. I love what I'm doing. And when you think about how he says, he even talks about his kids and how, his children learned at an early age what they loved. And he never pressured them to do what he wanted them to do. He says, I think one of them is the music. Another one does something else, but they're all into philanthropic endeavors. So they all have a heart for giving like their dad. And what I found so interesting, y'all, was that when I found out about the giving pledge, right? And this is where he compiled this situation where he, influenced some other billionaires to come in and to commit to giving away at least half or more of their earnings, right? Their wealth. And Bill and Melinda Gates, is it Melinda or Belinda? I'll be messing up the lady name, y'all. I'm sorry, but I think it's Melinda Gates. Okay. I think it's Melinda Gates. But anyway, they have the foundation and they are historically known for, it's Melinda Gates. That's what it is. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to take a moment and kind of correct that in my head. Yeah. So yeah, they have one of the biggest foundations, and they're known for extravagant giving. And I remember being at a place in my life feeling like one day I want to be able to give like that. And let me tell you, I still feel like that, but I just kind of feel, for those of you who are even taking the time to listen to me and you have that heart to give too, you want to be a philanthropist. Some of you are already philanthropists and you don't know that because you're thinking that you're not giving X amount of dollars and you're not giving on a particular level that you want to give on. And so what happens is you begin to make yourself think that you're not doing the very thing that you feel in your heart to do because it's not done in the way, or put it like this, the dollar amount that you think it should be, and nowadays it's very easy to get caught up in looking at other people. But I want to talk to somebody who's listening and you might have like $5 and you kind of feel like I need $5 million or I need $5,000 extra dollars or I need $50,000 extra dollars so that I can be a philanthropist. Let me tell you what the definition of philanthropy is. The desire to promote the welfare of others expressed especially by the generous donation of money to good causes. Okay. That also includes a philanthropic institution or a charity. Okay. So let me show you something. So if you have $1, right? and you have the desire to promote the welfare of someone else. Now, let's say you're in a car, you passing a homeless person, right? Now, if they don't have any money and you give them $1, that is a generous donation because of the situation that they're in. Okay. Now, yes, a generous donation is sure tons and tons and tons of money. Right. But the generosity of it all is not necessarily the dollar amount, but it's about the need that you're fulfilling. So I want you to think about that. Because what's happening is the enemy is making a lot of people think that they can't do certain things because it's not done on a certain level and they're not doing it where they are. And that's something that I committed to for 2018 because I've always been instinctively a giver. Always. And when I felt financially I was at a deficit, I couldn't give to people, I was missing the point of giving, period. Because if there's a way for you to give or to help someone or to make their lives better, it does not have to be fancy. It certainly does not have to be public. And it does not have to be something that requires as much as you think it requires. First of all, your heart has to be pure and your heart has to be right. That's the first thing. So once you decide that that's what you want your life to look like, then that's when you take what you have and that's what you give. I committed this year to giving away something every month through the podcast. Now, whether people want to do it or not, it doesn't matter. It's not necessarily these super huge things with hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars. But when it dropped in my heart to give it to somebody, then that's what I decided to do. So I just want to encourage you because, we've talked about this before with random acts of kindness. And this is something I think that Warren Buffett is just exemplary when he's exemplary when it comes to this, is that all that matters is that you understand that you're doing something for the greater good. You are doing something to help others. The biggest thing for me that shocked me was that I think he's up to like maybe 14 billionaires. I could be off now. It could certainly be more than that. But the fact that he was able to get all of these other extremely excessively wealthy people to give so much of what they've earned, selfless giving, that is a game changer. That is so incredibly powerful because it's not just saying that this man is wealthy. It's saying that he's a man of influence. He's not only just a man that's affluent and influential, but he's also a man that has figured out that you have to give for the greater good. You have to figure out how you're going to make your mark when it comes to giving and how you can make the world better. And let me tell y'all, philanthropic efforts do not always, come with money. Sometimes it's deeds. Sometimes it's product. Sometimes it's service. But you are giving back generously, okay? And you want to do it for a good cause. And when you think about the different things that you have going on in your life. So now I want to get to us, because the mentor is there just to open the door for us, but we have to continue the conversation. So now I just want to talk to you guys about just giving some thought to where you are in your life. The cool thing is, this is what I'm doing too. Because when it comes to who you're dating, when it comes to the plans and the goals that you have in your life, when it comes to how you see yourself in the next few years, the kind of things that you want to happen in your life, you really begin to, kind of grow up. You begin to mature. And some of the things maybe you thought you wanted, you begin to change those things because you realize the bigger picture. And something that I love about getting wisdom from somebody like Warren Buffett is that because he is in his 80s, this man has been around long enough to let you know if that dog is going to hunt or not. Like the old people say, because there's so many things that we think are of excellence, things that we think are right, things that we think are dope. And, he's very simple in what he's saying. He's like, do something you love, give back to other people, eat like a 6-year-old and chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is very simple with it. And I know because we're young and we pop in and we trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives. Or a lot of y'all, listen, I know you balling. A lot of y'all 6, 7, figure people. I know. And I mean, that's wonderful. But I know some of you are also thinking there's got to be more. There has to be something else that I can be doing. And I don't know how to do it. Now, for those of you who are listening and you can barely scrape $2 together, let me tell you something about that too. Just the fact that you have the heart to do it is the start. And what you don't want to do is get caught up in what you think it should be. And you should be asking God what it should be. Because whatever is going to be for you, however this thing is set up, is already set up specifically for you. No one else can come between it. And all you have to do is focus on it and make it happen. When you start to think about the trajectory of your life, when you start to think about, okay, I want to be a giver. I want to find the thing that makes my heart sing. I want to know what makes me come alive. I want to live my authentic purpose. I want to do all these things. Sure, Robin, you can tell me about this rich billionaire, but what does that have to do with me? Well, guess what? He started out just like us. He had to start out when he was a small boy, and he had to work, I believe, in his father or his grandfather's store. And he was selling papers. He did all of these. He had like so many jobs. That's another thing I want to encourage you on. Oh, please let me tell y'all about that. I did not put this excerpt in today's show, but I want you to go to YouTube and find some of the Warren Buffett videos about the early years. Let me tell y'all something. We real big on this kick right now about just do one thing, just do one thing. Now listen, I'm the first one to tell you this is true. I focus on inspiration. So however I do that day by day, one day is going to be a big thing. Now I learned that from Jeff Bezos, and I heard it years and years and years ago. But recently when I heard it from him, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it really stuck and it affected me differently because I was looking at inspiration like it was a bad thing. Because one day I wanted to write a song, and then one day I wanted to make a shirt. Then one day I wanted to invest in the time with the youth. Then another day I wanted to invest in creating classes and courses. Then another day I wanted to invest in books. And what I didn't realize was I was consistently doing inspiration. Everything across the board. If you lined up all of those things on the table, each and every one of them were simpatico. All of them were all on one accord because all of them had a sincere, very specific focus on inspiration. And I never deviated from that. So these things are just popping up right now. So I know that somebody needs to hear this stuff. This is so dope because it's random and it's not the way I was going, but I'm just in the moment. I feel it. So here's a couple things. Some of you don't realize, like that same billionaire, that man had like so many businesses, y'all. He said, I just used to do all kind of stuff. He said the only difference is he was able to acquire wealth at a young age because even as a boy, when he was starting to understand stocks, and he read this book early in his life by Ben Graham, and it just explains to him about how business, if you look at investing like you're investing in a part of something for someone else, then if you can put a little bit of money into that and then they can take care of it over time, you can make a lot of money, right? So that's how come he was able to understand investing. But he tried a bunch of different things. And I know some of you are listening now because you feel like, you've had so many failures to launch and so many things you thought were going to happen that never happened. And then you find yourself feeling like, man, everybody's saying you got to focus on one thing, but I don't know what to focus on. Now, I'm not encouraging you to be all over the place. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is if you have felt that, or if you've encountered that, you've had some great success that skyrocketed and it stopped, or, you never really could get a handle on it. Yo, that's totally fine. Because here, this man is one of the richest men in the world. And he tells you that when he was trying to figure that thing out, he didn't know what he was doing. And he was doing all kinds of stuff. So don't be discouraged by that. Please don't be discouraged by that. Because if you're called to be a billionaire, millionaire, or somebody who gives on a great level with, hefty, generous giving monetarily, then you will be able to do that. But you just have to reposition yourself if that's necessary for you right now. Others of you, you could be working on multiple streams and you could be focusing on multiple things. But as long as you have that common denominator, then everything is going to work out for you because it's all going to come together. Like I said, my judge is inspiration. I'm wired to inspire straight up. If it's in a conversation, if it's in my prayer time, if it's when God is allowing me to use my spiritual gifts, if it's when I'm working in business endeavors, if it's when, I have to travel and speak somewhere, it doesn't matter what it is. I know that is always my end game. And if I ever deviate from inspiration, I'm going to be in trouble because I have to stay focused on that because that's the fruit of the labor. Focusing on the inspiration will give me all the streams. So that's what I want you to think about. I want you to even pray about it. Ask the Lord to reveal it to you. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:16 that your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. So guess what? You have the opportunity to be brought before great men because there's a gift that you possess. Now, in his particular case with Warren Buffett, and he created this great company and all of these other things and these wonderful investments, he had to come to that place. So when he did get to that place and he was able to make it into something and he, had shareholders and all these other things, he was able to stay focused on that and still work in that business today. But he didn't just jump up and do that. So I don't want you to be discouraged. All my hustlers on here listening with your podcast, with your blogs, you got your businesses that you're launching. Some of you're 5-6 years into your business. Some of you just starting your classes and your coaching, your speaking engagements. You're doing all of these things. I want you to understand this is a time of encouragement. This is a time of inspiration. You should be inspired now, because I just want you to know today you can take the little bit that you have and you can begin your philanthropic endeavors. And yes, specifically, it's about generous giving. So it's large sums of money, but it's also generous giving and what's behind the generosity. Where is the generosity cultivated from? What are you using it for? How are you trying to bless and help someone else? And one of the things that I thought was amazing was that when you pay attention to some of the personal nuances about him, just over his life, there was a consistency. He was always even keeled, but there was a consistency with him in his heart when it came to helping other people. And I believe it was when his first wife died. I think he said that's when his whole mindset changed about giving, because that was something he was having her to focus on, and he just kind of took over and he made it a thing for himself. And here we are with the giving pledge. So I just want you guys to be encouraged. I don't want you to see him or hear his story and feel like you can't identify. He's a small town boy who came up and he just handled his business. So you are no different. Now, some of you may be listening. You may have been rich your whole life, and that's dope too. But you might still be in a spot where you don't really know what to do and you don't know what it's going to look like for you. Listen, if you are here, it is not by happenstance. It's not a coincidence, because guess what? If God gave you the ability to even listen, if God gave you the ability to even be positioned in a situation where you're contemplating change, you're wanting to be a giver on a bigger level, you want to figure out specifically what your focal point is, then guess what? He's going to do that for you, because now you're taking the action. You're taking the time to figure it out. Don't trip if you're working at the restaurant right now, waiting tables. Don't trip if you're washing cars. Don't trip if you're the person who want to be a millionaire in 2018 and you only had 300,000. Don't trip. You're going to get everything you're supposed to get. But you just have to stay focused and remember, have that attitude of gratitude. That's another thing. He's a very grateful person. He's always grateful. He says all of the things that he enjoys in life have to do with substance. Everything has to do with things that matter, like your family is healthy, that, he said that's his happiness. That's his joy. Just knowing that he's being able to be in a situation where he can do what he wants, but he absolutely is in a position where he does what he loves. He absolutely does. And it's, the goal for any of us, right, is to simultaneously do what we love and to do what we want, right? That's what we want. So I would just encourage you today that if you have it on your mind at all about giving and philanthropy, and you're trying to figure out what your authentic purpose is, and you just feel a little bit intimidated about life right now, or things just seem like, man, I just can't get it together and I don't know what to do. Or if you're that person, no, you got it together, you good, things are coming together for you, but you're like, you know what? I just needed to be reminded that I still can, do this thing on the level that I've always wanted to do it on. Perhaps I have some stuff in my arsenal that I've been sleeping on that I can actually begin to utilize right now, because I can start from where I'm at. I don't have to wait for it to be this big old ta-da in order for me to be in a position to give, in order for me to be in a position to operate in authentic purpose. So a couple things I want you to remember before we check out. Just because the opportunity is there for you to work with something that seems great, everything is vibing now, oh, it's going to be dope, that's not necessarily something you should do. Okay? It could be similar to what you love and like, and it seems all good. But one of the major lessons I learned from this man, he's like, that's not always the things that you jump to. So practice wisdom when opportunities come up to work, because you don't want to make a decision in haste. And that's something he's very open about too. He tells you about those mistakes he's made in that area. So make sure that it's something that makes you come alive. If it doesn't make you come alive, but it just makes you money, just sit it down. Let God give you another situation, or you create another situation, because it'll be good in the beginning, but it'll backfire in the end. So remember that. And lastly, y'all, I want to just give you guys a couple of quotes from Warren Buffett that I really think could add some value to you as you move forward today, because, again, he's a man with great wisdom. And, one of the things that I really appreciate about him is that he's very giving and open with his wisdom. So with that being said, he has 3 quotes that I would like to leave you with, and I want you to ponder them. In fact, download this episode and play it back and write these quotes down, or at least Google them and save them. And I want you to think about what they mean in your life, and especially where you are right now. The first one is this: chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Marinate. 2, what we learn from history is that people don't learn from history. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on that. The writing could be on the wall, but sometimes we only learn when we're in the situation. So you have a great opportunity right now in your life to actually learn from history. Actually look at the L's other people have taken so that you don't have to take those L's. We all want to be winners, but the reality of it is this: it's when you take those L's, is when you fail and when you lose at certain things. That's what makes you become the actual winner, because you get what you need in those times of feeling like you've plummeted or things have not come together the way you thought they would. That's what really creates the winner in you. Okay. And lastly, this is what I'm going to leave you guys with. And this is what I've been talking about this entire podcast. I built you up for this one quote. Okay. And I want you to take it seriously. And I'm serious. I'm not trying to gas you up, but you have everything you need to start right where you are. And this is what the quote simply says: it is not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. I'm wired to inspire. I hope you are too.
Thanks for listening to I'm Wired to Inspire podcast at I'mWiredToInspire.com. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word and be sure to hit the 5-star rating on iTunes. For more information on this podcast and inspirational products and services, log on to the inspirationspecialist.life or I'mWiredToInspire.com. And remember to live your authentic purpose. Thanks again, and see you next time.